welcome back to Self-Love Sunday, dear sister. Whether it's your first time or you're coming back, I am deeply grateful that you chose this channel. This episode is taking a toll on me. I'm trying to record it for the 10th, 12th time now, because today is just one of those days that you don't feel good enough. And whatever you do, it feels like, oh, no, not this, not that. So today my energy may be a little bit different, but we are showing up because it is important. Today we want to talk about an incredibly important part of your healing journey, which is grief. That isn't any kind of grief, right? This is a grief of so many things. This isn't just a grief of losing a person from your life that was incredibly important, but it is a grief of years and years of you who endured, survived, played a role of a martyr, empath, supporter to someone else, and all of the unexpressed self-love that was so needed to you in those years, in those months, in those years. This grief is so necessary, though, to be allowed and felt. Because otherwise, it will keep you will keep yourself in a loop, and perhaps will still choose what isn't serving your highest purpose and what isn't loving you back. So let's dive into the episode. So, healing journey from trauma bond is accompanied by grief very, very deeply. And it's in layers and layers and layers that you're going to layers that you're going to discover down the line, more and more and more. Honestly, even up until this day, when I'm regulated, when I'm happy, grief can suddenly hit. And it's been months and months of being happy. Yeah, and getting happier and happier. Grief is something that will not be structured. It will, especially at the beginning, be chaotic. You won't know what you're looking at. You won't know what you're dealing with. But now, perhaps thanks to some new knowledge, perhaps from this episode, you're gonna have a better understanding of how it can show up in your life, what can accompany it, what other the emotions that lie within it, and how the more we grieve and allow all of the emotions, the more we're going to be building something new and actually outgrowing that version of us that self-sacrificed, that stayed regardless of the circumstances. As I said, grief is not just processing the loss of an important person from your life. It is grieving the time, the energy, the times you self-abandoned, and all of the unexpressed self-love over the years. Blocked self-love. You grieve a version of you who tolerated what you now would not tolerate. Yeah. It's a tough one. It really is. The underlying emotions accompanying grief is the guilt, shame, fear of not being good enough. And this urge to suppress it because you've had enough pain in your life already, right? You will ask yourself these questions now with the new awareness. Now when you're starting to notice the pattern, why didn't I leave earlier? Why did I allow this? And it's so easy to jump into self-blaming and this shame now that you know. But the truth is, you didn't know. You've done your best with the knowledge that you had at the time, right? You've done all that you could. And promise you that conditioning goes deep. If it was just a matter of logic and conscious decision, you would not be in that situation in the first place. You would leave off the first red flag, right? So you didn't stay because you were weak. You stayed because you were conditioned that this is love. You were conditioned to love by self-sacrifice. You were conditioned to love by putting others on a pedestal and putting others ahead of yourself. This is really deep conditioning, and it most likely stems from your childhood. And it really does root into your nervous system. It's not just a matter of, as I said, logic decision. Your nervous system has an entire way of operating. And to undo that, it's not just telling yourself, I should be over this. It is by conscious, everyday, small decisions, small pattern changes, small rituals of self-love, self-care, self-forgiveness. Yeah. With the awareness, with grief showing up, with the shame and guilt coming to the surface, we tend to experience even identity collapse. Because the truth is, when you do something and you are something to someone for many, many years, you start to consider it as part of your identity. It's becoming part of your character. I'm the kind one, I'm the great one, I'm the one who always stays no matter how I'm treated. I'm the one that tries harder. I prove my worthiness. Yeah. So no wonder at some point you start to think that this, not even consciously, you start to believe that this is part of your identity and this is who you were born to be in this earth. So that's why when you leaving the trauma bond, you may feel empty. You may feel incredibly confused and scared on what to do next. And it may pressure you to want to go back to the old dynamic, right? Because you feel faced with your own conditioning coming to the surface. You don't know who you are without that conditioning. So it's all there to start to be explored. Because if you don't allow yourself for these feelings to come, to grieve, you'll unconsciously go back to the old version of you because it will feel safer. But let me say that clearly. The version of you that stayed was not stupid. She was surviving with the tools that she had. And let me tell you, since you are about to leave trauma bond or you already left trauma bond relationship, think about it. That version of you got you out. She wasn't that little pushover. She wasn't that little people pleaser or this empath that was not smart enough to realize what she's inside of. Part of her knew, part of you knew. That takes a special kind of brave, kind-hearted, and powerful being to leave despite the shame, despite the guilt, despite the heaviness and the difficulty that exiting this kind of relationship comes with. That shame should turn into respect. You are a special kind of strong. You are special kind of hot. Because look at it as well. You exited. That means you knew there must be something more. And therefore, you know that there's so much more to you than this version of you. You somehow felt it, even if you weren't conscious of it, and even if it took you time. Those dynamics are incredibly hard to get out of, especially with the conditioning to put others above yourself. So you are courageous and strong. Okay? It is incredibly important in this whole healing process and allowing the grief and allowing the feelings of shame, of guilt, of fear come to the surface. It's super important to be kind to yourself and to treat these emotions as the most normal thing in the world. They are okay to exist. They are okay to be there. You start to become an observer to these feelings rather than being in the middle of them and unable to think clearly. But you're going to start becoming aware of these feelings. You're going to start to be okay. Okay, I'm feeling grief right now. I'm feeling sadness. I feel uncomfortable right now. It's probably the grief coming out. You won't have to name it clearly for what it is. You don't have to always know what it is that you're feeling. You don't always have to find the answer. The key is to allow these feelings in a safe environment. Yeah. Is to allow them to pass through you, to recognize them, even if it's jealousy, if it's fear, if it's the shame. It's okay for that shame to exist. Who says that shame is not allowed to visit your body? The truth is, the more you allow these feelings to come to the surface unapologetically and allow them and just observe them and know that they are just a part of you, they are the weather of your body, just that, the fact that you're going to allow them to pass through will then lessen the power of them over you and eventually will leave you. But that's a process. And you just have to stay kind to yourself, stay curious. But again, curiosity doesn't mean having all the answers to your feelings. It's just allowing them to come out in a safe space. Being gentle with yourself, and I mean it with your words and with your actions, being sweet to your body, gentle, slowing down the processes, slowing down your showers, slowing down the way you eat, slowing down your walks, making more space for yourself. Truly, that part of your life when you're going to be still trauma bonded and trying to move to more clarity, to move away from shame and guilt and grief, it's only by allowing them consciously to pass through you. Yeah. Unapologetically and without shaming yourself, without telling yourself to be over it with it already. Nothing like that, okay? And grief will look in various different ways as well. Yeah, it's going to be random waves of sadness. It's going to be random memories. Perhaps some memories even resurfacing from your childhood, reminding you of where your the core wound started. It will be anger. For some of us, we have suppressed anger for many, many years. Allow it. I'm not talking about go and punch someone. I'm talking about in a safe environment. Feel it. Recognize I'm angry. I'm allowing it because it's normal. I've been through a lot. Yeah. There will be waves of compassion and be like, for your inner child, you'll be like, oh my God, you poor thing. What did you go through? Yeah. There will be loads of confusion, loads of that. Especially at the beginning, there'll be chaos. Everything will be interlapsed, like interfering with each other. We won't know what is what. Some feelings will be familiar, some feelings will not be familiar. But the key is to allow them. The key is to be, okay, I'm a little bit chaotic right now, but it's okay because this is normal in this process of healing. So this is the way you're supposed to speak to her, narrate to yourself. Yeah. It's not linear, it's not clean, but it's an honest expression of your body, perhaps for the first time in your life. And you see that with time, that grief, that shame, that guilt will slowly start to chip away, because you recognize it for what it truly is, where it really come from. Different memories will remind you of different moments in your life when you were cut, emotionally cut by life, by people close to you, and where that core wound started for the core wound that you then had to deal with later in life, and repeat certain conditioning and patterns until they become so powerful and so visible that you'll have to exit to choose something better. Yeah. It's okay to feel all the feelings. Whatever you feel the emotion is not right, allow it and say it's normal. I was conditioned a certain way. Gentleness, self-forgiveness, curiosity, without over fixating on naming it, will do you wonders. And you'll become the someone that no longer needs to abandon herself to be loved. Because guess what? You're gonna love yourself. If you're gonna be gentle and forgiving and curious about yourself, you're gonna be loving yourself, and you're gonna be the one not abandoning yourself anymore. You're set a new standard for yourself of how you should be treated, because you're gonna be treating yourself well. By the way, it's okay to miss the old version of you sometimes as well. She won't go away in one night, but I no longer miss her. I no longer miss the performance. But the true me was there all along, all underneath it. Her heart was there. And so is yours. Behaviors and conditioning is not something that was your fault. It's something that yes, can be changed and healed, but you have to forgive yourself that you haven't been acting perfectly, that you've been emotional, and maybe you still blame yourself for something that like something that the abuser called you out for, that when you acted out of character, when you actually just couldn't stand the abuse or disrespect anymore. If you still blame yourself for these old situations, yeah, it's so important to realize that these situations were never on you to carry. And your personality or your character should not be self-abandonment and bottling everything up under the surface, yeah? Allow it. Don't panic when it comes. Just allow things to be felt. Be gentle, be kind, be loving, be forgiving. And things will get better. Things will get healthier. And when you're in confusion, build small, everyday habits that are good for you. Small micro decisions that will slowly build self-trust. Okay, I think this is it for today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode brought you some support, some clarity, some love. Take good care of your heart, and I hope to see you next week.